Eternal life. Is there such a thing? Perhaps one of the reasons why we want to have a family, we want to have children, is because we want a sense of eternity. Well, we are created in the image of God. We have a piece of God in us. Just as God is eternal, there's a human desire for eternity. So the physical way to do it is to have children. But that's not a foolproof way. That not necessarily will make it that you have eternity. In a sense you do, because in flesh, there's flesh that came after you. There are those that came after you, and in that sense, you keep humanity going on for eternity. That is true. But is there something more than that? Is that the singular way? Or that's the regular, natural way? I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. Run back. Where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We begin today the 27th letter. This was a letter that was written in 1788, a few years ago, but very relevant today. It was written to the followers of Remendel Haradoker, or Remendel of Vitebsk. Remendel made Aliyah to Israel in 1777, and he passed away 11 years later. Upon his passing, the Chassidim there were very broken, naturally, and this is a letter of condolences to the Chassidim. Chassidim there in Israel, and also to the Chassidim that were in Russia at the time. So he begins with, my beloved, my brethren and friends who are as dear and so forth to me as my soul. May the name of God be upon you, and may you live forever. May you live forever. And your children with you, in the seed of truth. May you be blessed by God forevermore. So, it says the Alter Rebbe, I've come to speak to the heart of those who have been smitten over the passing of Remendele, and to console you and to redouble support with what my ears have heard from others and what I have understood myself regarding the idiom by the sages that upon the passing of the righteous tzaddik, says he has left life for all the living. Now, what does that mean, to leave life for all the living? We live our own life. How do we understand that? So, the tzaddik, the righteous person, lives by three things. They live by faith in God, by awe of God, which also leads to life. Right? This is their life. And by a fiery flashing sparks of love of God that is even greater than life. Those are the three things: faith, awe, and love of God. That's what makes up their real life. Not merely one of the flesh, not merely, but it is not of the flesh, but of the spirit. And of the ruach level, which is the spirit level of the soul, upon the passing of the righteous, the disciples, those that are connected to that righteous person, they're infused by it. They are imbued by it. the time of the passing, God elevates that ruach level of the righteous person, and it ascends from one elevation to the next to the highest of levels. But yet, and this is what it means that he leaves over life for those behind, he leaves over a part of that ruach spirit of the righteous, right? The deeds which they had labored in their lifetime, which their deeds are faith, love, and awe of God, which is expressed through the ruach level of their soul, ruach being the spirit, the emotional aspect of the soul, so love and awe and the faith in God. That was what they labored, and that's what they bequeathed. That's what they bequeathed to every living being, every soul who was bound up to them with thick ropes of magnanimous love and eternal love that would be moved forever. In other words, by being connected to that righteous person, they receive from that individual, those who had cleaved during their lifetime to that individual, or we'll see later even afterwards, beyond their lifetime, that they're bound up with them, then they're bound up with this ruach level. In other words, they're imbued with this, with their faith and awe and love of God, of this individual, this righteous person who's passed away. Furthermore, their chaya level, which is the fourth level, which is an encompassing level, becomes a protective shadow for those that are connected to that righteous person, that protects them from the negativity of the ways of the world. Now, this is all based, every individual, on their personal connection to that righteous person. The more genuine is the bond, the deeper is the love, the deeper will be the reciprocating of the ruach level of the righteous person, their faith, awe, and love that will imbue them with. As is well known, as King Solomon said, as in water, the face responds to or face reflects the face, so is the heart of man to man. In other words, the righteous person who has passed on, their soul will reflect back based on what that individual has done to connect to them. And as the verse says, in the Zohar, spirit rouses spirit and brings forth spirit. And this is not just for that person who had the connection, but it's even for that person, their children, and their children's children, disciples. For those who walk in the ways of that righteous person forevermore. So, our teacher here, the Alter Rebbe, our connection to him as we walk in his ways, in his teachings, not just learning it, but working on implementing it in our lives, then the more we are bound up to him through his teachings, the more we gain from his ruach level of the soul that imbues us, and not just inspires, more than inspires, imbues us with faith, love, and awe of God. And likewise, being a protectorate for negative influences, sort of umbrelling us in being in his shadow, that the negativity of the world should not affect us. Very powerful idea of what it means to be connected to a righteous individual, and what that righteous individual does for us, not in their lifetime, but after their lifetime, which is phenomenal. phenomenal. We're going to still take this apart and understand it further. How's that so? How do we understand that? And not only that, we will see that in a certain way it's even greater after their lifetime. It is greater, actually. But more of that to come. I'm not going to spoil that until we get there. All right. Wonderful to be back. I don't see any questions here. All right. Rambam coming up. Reminder Sunday. There will be Torah studies, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and TRC. Okay. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zuchrin Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, wonderful day and a wonderful, good Shabbos. Thank you for joining.